Good afternoon from the Sugar City Studios, beautiful Savannah, Georgia, Johnson Square, North Point of View with Dr. Walter Kimsey. Good afternoon, Walter.
Good afternoon, Mark. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Great.
All right, so we've touched on this a couple of times, the shipping crisis, the ongoing crisis. It's sort of like getting better, and then it's not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in your opinion, like, where are we right now?
Well, we're still in a crisis,
right?
There was something we talked a bit about this before, but this is now an update from the last talk because every day it's a new day in the crisis world. So.
Yeah, but headlines every day, like literally every day. Some sector of the economy is affected. Still can't get microchips for the cars. Still can't. Lindsay had to give up on her couch, right?
Yeah,
never came.
Just never came.
Never came. In May, showed her October. May, it's still not there. So she goes to furniture store, buys the floor model. Just get me out of here, right?
I heard of somebody went to Goodwill because they couldn't even find furniture in the store. Not here, other part of the country.
Yeah. So it hasn't dissipated, right? The problem's still there.
It is still there. So last time we talked about it, we said, well, we've got all of these random federal government stimuli since last year, March,
right? That
push. If you look at a chart for retailer sales, it's unbelievable. It's just so way off trend. It's not good. And then you have factories that shut down because of workers either not showing up or the workers getting sick. So they showed up and got sick. Others just because the workers are afraid of getting sick. Maybe they like their unemployment payments.
Maybe.
So there's various reasons.
Right.
But basically, the transportation industry has the same problem. Because what happened recently, May 29th, Yantian, which is a port city, next near Shenzhen, which is a very, very big port. Both are very important. And the third nearby port is Hong Kong. And Yantian had an outbreak of coronavirus. I guess that the Chinese vaccine either doesn't work very well or nobody took the shot. But one way, shape, form, or another, they had to shut the city down. And usually that means 2 weeks, everybody's sitting in, in what do you call it, in isolation.
Yeah.
And so a couple of weeks ago, people started to come out. So did the stevedores, who also were forced to sit it out. And Yantian is now back up to about 55% capacity. And as in the next couple of weeks, they should be back at full capacity. Why do we care? Because there were at one point over 80 vessels waiting to call in those 3 Chinese ports. And everybody trying to move stuff around to see if maybe they could reallocate it somehow. It didn't work. If you go to marinetraffic.com and you look up the port of Yantian, or Shenzhen's easier to spot on the map.
Easier to spell, too.
Exactly. Is that with a Z or a C? Anyways. So this is a fire hose that's going to get turned on. And there's a backlog of stuff. Retailer inventories are still down at 2015, 2016 levels. The inventory to sales ratio, how many dollars of inventories you hold per dollar of sale. You need to hold stuff in advance before people come to buy it. They were holding $1.50 roughly before the pandemic started. It has dropped and dropped and dropped with all this crazy shopping. And it is now at $1.09 of inventory per dollar of sales.
Oh, wow. Last time I think we talked was $1.20. That was 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
dropped further.
Wow, okay.
So then what I have heard is the retailers are already trying to bring their Christmas merchandise in because there's just no guarantee that there's going to be
it's like June 27th, right?
That's right.
Okay.
So this is Christmas, not in July, Christmas in June. It's begun.
Wow.
And well, they've got inventory backlog up. Everybody's afraid there's not enough capacity, so they're going to bring the stuff in as quickly as they can. So as far as I can tell, this will not be over until we have enough people in enough countries vaccinated, so we stop with these random factory shutdowns and random port shutdowns, as well as we get Americans, back to business and going around doing stuff instead of buying all kinds of things.
Yeah, and it seems like that started. Just trying to find a parking place downtown Savannah, right? Place is packed, but people are still buying the goods, right? It's not just travel and eating out. There's still.
Well, the latest data is April, May.
Okay.
We're in June, and I think that the minute somebody gets 2 weeks past their second vaccine or 2 weeks past the Johnson & Johnson, that's it. Ditch the mask and, go head into the crowds. And the data says it's pretty safe to do that.
And so with China, though, we're still on the shipping piece of it. We're still out of equilibrium, though.
Yes, we are.
Right.
But I tell you what bothers me is I'm watching all the ocean carriers ordering more big vessels, a lot more containers, and I see that amongst other transportation segments. This is not a good idea. Just because you're making tons of money doesn't mean that you're going to need all of this equipment. We don't grow from here, right? We are at an artificial induced peak level of behavior. So right now it's so bad to get stuff into Los Angeles. I know one guy who normally has his stuff go by ship into Long Beach. He's putting it on a ship that goes into Savannah, and then in Savannah it goes on a train, and it goes on the train across the country to Long Beach. This is not something it's not a good idea. So right now the railroads have tons of what they call ton miles, right? Revenue ton miles. The truckers have revenue ton miles. The ocean carriers are bringing more stuff in weirder ways into places that once the level of demand slows down and capacity is boosted in a few bottleneck places, means you're not going to need as many ships and as many containers to do this.
It's a pig in the python, right?
That's exactly right. So it's going through here, So come next year, what I expect to see is cancellations of orders for new ships and for containers because they overordered. They ordered stuff on the premise that the level we're at now, we're going to grow from here, not come back down. And I'm sorry, I just don't see people spending as much on a third and fourth fishing rods because they're a great deal and I'm bored to damn death. And so I was
everybody's got two bicycles in the house right now. So I think we're done, right?
Exactly. Because come on. I think a lot of the shopping was just pure boredom. I can't go out, it's not much fun stuff to do. Let's go on Amazon, right?
Is there a way to come up with like a percentage, like a reset? Is there like a 10-15% reset, 20%?
Well, I've been trying to do that. The problem is we get the data on this stuff in two forms: deseasonalized and raw, not seasonally adjusted. And I'm not looking at the seasonally adjusted data because the seasonal adjustment factors are out of whack. LA and Long Beach have been operating at peak season volume since June of last year.
Right.
So it's now 13 months of volumes coming in higher than they ever have been in the port. And even some new records made along the way. So how do you deseasonalize that kind of data? How do you deseasonalize people just relentlessly spending money and buying stuff that I suspect a lot of which is just not needed? You can't. So we look at the raw data, and that's what I've been trying to figure out is when do we hit the peak? There are a lot of real-time data sources too, and the Census Bureau's got some pretty good data. It comes out on a weekly basis. But right now, what I'm seeing is the momentum falling off. The growth is still there, but we're not growing at the same growth rate as before.
Yeah, and it's got to. And you've talked before about the shift going, from goods to services, and we're absolutely going to see that in the second half of the year.
Exactly. Well, we had a 3% swing in the percentage of money we spent on goods versus services. It used to be before the pandemic. We grew over time from 30-70 to 70-30, meaning 70% originally on goods, 30% on services in 1950. And where we got to in 2019 is 70% services and 30% goods. So a complete flip over time. We weren't spending that way because we hated it. We were spending that way because we liked it, right?
I wonder though. I don't want to, it's just, I don't know. Just sort of thinking though, I wonder if through the last year and a half, if some things that we have done, experienced, like gardening, don't sort of replace going out to a restaurant. I'm just a thought. I mean, in other words, so maybe it's not all the way back, but maybe there's something in the middle. I don't know.
That's what happened in 08, 09. We actually had a similar shift back then, and it took 2 to 3 years to, for that to return back to the trend.
Right.
So, but the trend is inexorable.
Yeah, I gotcha.
We like having fun. Buying stuff can be, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, for some people, not so much for others. All right, I'll leave it at that. Hey, Walter, always great to be with you.
Yeah, good seeing you.
All right, thanks.